in the previous years, we've had, those of you who are here, we discussed Fauda, which, discussed the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and, delves deeper into that. And today, we would like to look further into the ultra-Orthodox community. And that is what we have here. We have Dikla Barkai, who is the executive producer of the Shtisel Netflix hit series. Dikla, hi.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me here. I'm a television producer. I produced Shtisel, and among other series. And it's nice to be here and talk to you about it. Just a small question. Did you watch Shtisel? Yes. Yes, so Shtisel, it's Israeli series located in the Orthodox community, in the Orthodox neighborhood, Mea Shearim, not far from here in Jerusalem. Father and son just lost the mother of the family a year ago, sitting on their balcony, looking for some love and warmth in the Word of God. This is the series, and I'll try to tell you a little bit about it, maybe to show you some clips from it and to discuss the impact of the series as I understand it, maybe a little bit about the way we did it, because we are, most of us are secular, and we did this show that deals with the Orthodox people in Israel. So you are all a journalist here, as I understand. So maybe I suppose to talk about the main issues that we have in Israel between the two societies. And we do have issues, many. The differences between the two societies are huge. It concerns modernity versus conservatism. Significant differences in the field of education. Service in the army compares to not service in the army of religious people that instead go to the yeshiva and study the Bible. It's about religious laws that also apply to secular people and the opposite way. And in these days, actually, they build the new structure of the government, and most of the things they talk about is the power of the religious parties in the composition of the new government. And it's hardly, there's no other topic they talk about, but the role they will play inside the government. But it's nothing that I'm going to talk about today, because actually Shtisel didn't deal with those aspects at all. And in fact, we didn't have any intention to talk about those issues in this series. In our series, we tried just to bring a good story with a very strong human center in it, without any judgment, without any opinions about it, neither good or bad, just to bring maybe the human side, the people side of these big issues that we meet normally through the media. And I believe that maybe drama has this, maybe it's a good thing that drama that brings the side of the people, the side of the story behind the big headlines. So, Shtisel, I'll read a little bit. Just during the process of doing the show, we were very careful not to make an exotic world. We wanted to step away from this kind of scenes of looking into a world that we don't know much about. In Shtisel, you don't have this explanation about things. Nobody's trying to teach you anything, good or bad, about this community. And all the thoughts and opinions you had in your mind about them, I hope you immediately shed them. Eventually, this series is about me and you. And Ori alone is one of the creators of the series. He once told me he didn't want to make a series about what those people are, but about who they are. So I think that in Shtisel, you just experience this reality, these people, without someone trying to say something about it. With all the good things and the bad things, you lose all your judgment when you step into the story, into the drama, into the life of the people. Immediately you lose the judgment and the preconceptions you brought with you into this experience. And you just go into this special world. So the show, Shtisel, it came out in 2013 in Israel, second season 2015, third season 2020, and since 2018 it's broadcasting on Netflix as well, and was really embraced internationally, and we feel very lucky for it. In Israel it became very popular both with secular audience and, surprisingly, with religious people as well, who normally don't even have a television at home. Somehow it went very viral on their kosher cell phone in the Haredi society. And I know that religious viewers felt a strong connection to the series when they watched it. Somehow they saw themselves in it. I personally feel that since I started working on the series, I will never look at a religious person the way I looked at him before. As I said, we have all those preconceptions. I'm not free from it. But I understood that those preconceptions just widened the gap between the two societies. And now I don't see those persons anymore through those eyes. That's not the whole story. Eventually, people are people. And for me, the main thing I look for in my work is look for the truth, look for the truth, look for a true story. And in Shtisel, I found it in the deepest way. And after a few minutes of watching Shtisel, I think you don't even remember these are Haredi people. You are watching Akiva and Shulem, and you feel it so true that you almost believe that they are still sitting there on their balcony now complaining about life. And after airing on Netflix, I can tell you about the gap between our success outside of Israel and the Israeli local way of doing things. In the production of Shtisel, everything was very simple and small, not only in terms of budget, but also its local story about a small family. There's no big drama, no sex, no violence, no bodies in the first episode, just life, simple life. This is such a specific local series about a very specific family in a very specific society. Actually, I'm a little surprised it's still successful, because since we began, which is nearly 10 years ago, the television became more and more extreme, more bigger than life than we used to back then even. But I understand now that how more local and specific you are is the more universal you are. So if you tell a true story about the real people and real emotion, maybe you reach and touch more and more people outside. And it was interesting for me because normally the people of the channels of televisions are looking for big drama, even back then, and big shows that will bring a very strong drama to the screen. So when I went to pitch the show, I was full of excitement and belief. So they really wanted to hear about it, but when I said it's about religious family in Mea Shearim, they were taken aback. They didn't think people would want to see Haredi families on television. But I asked them to read the script because I was so influenced and impressed by it, and I really believed in it, and it was all that was necessary. And maybe to talk about my first meeting with the script and with the series, I will talk a little bit about the very first scene of the very first episode of the very first season, and for you that you didn't watch the show, maybe it's a good opportunity to show you a little bit. So here is, I can do it. Oh, okay, maybe this way, okay. Lights, please.
מה נשמע אנשים?
ברוך השם. מה בשבילך עקיבא, גדול או קטן?
גדול שכוייך. שים לי גם חמוצים.
אין חמוצים.
מה זאת אומרת?
אין וגם לא היה אף פעם.
טוב. אמא? מה את עושה פה?
התגעגעתי.
לאנשים?
אנשים? מה יש לי מאנשים? התגעגעתי לקצת קוגל. קר לי, עקיבא. כל כך קר לי. ואין שום דבר מה לעשות. אפילו חמוצים אין כאן.
איפה אתה יודע איך נראים אסקימוסים? היית שם פעם?
אבל מה הפשט? מה זה בא לומר כל החלומות האלה?
לא בא לומר שום דבר. יבוא היורצייט, הכל יהיה בסדר. מה שמת בפתיתים?
שום דבר מיוחד.
משהו שמת בו.
שום דבר.
Okay, so this is the first season. Thank you. The first scene of the very first season. And I think it's a very magical scene and it has so many layers. It says a lot about what kind of series it is and more than that. For me, this scene is very special because when Ori Alon and Jonathan Indursky, the writers of the show, gave me the script, and I remember I read the first scene, I felt the joy of creation, the joy that you get when you hear true words, and I immediately fell in love. And I had this very strong feeling only after reading this one scene. I didn't know why I felt it so strong. Now I will try to analyze it, but magic is a magic. So maybe just to analyze it a little bit with you. We see Akiva and Shulem, we see Akiva missing his mother, and his mother sitting in the restaurant missing kigel, it's their food, and we feel these people, we feel their homesickness. Immediately, we identify with them. I'm not a Haredi person. I hardly knew anything about their life then, but I identified with them in an instant. and I could feel this homesickness myself. We understand through this sin something that is bigger than the sin itself. One thing is this longing of the Haredi community that they feel for the life they had before. Secular people in Israel might tell you that Haredi people are primitive or narrow-minded. But when you watch this scene, you understand the same thing differently. They're longing for a time that the past they're longing for a time in the past and for a way of life that they had before, and you see them differently. The modern world could be very frightening for Haredi people, so they try to hold on to the past. You see in Israel, if you walk here through the streets of Jerusalem, you see Haredi people wearing these long coats in the summer, the women wearing their wigs. Their food is the same food as their grandparents used to eat. And all you can think of is how they aren't progressive with time. But as Shulam says to Akiva here, when Akiva describes his dream, he asks, "What do you know about Eskimos? Have you ever been there before?" So I need to ask this question myself. Not only about Haredi people, but also about places or people that I have strong opinion about. And this thing I learned through Shtisel. Have I ever been there before? Once I met a Haredi man who told me that Haredi people are like those who sit in the human train in the last coach. They are riding with us, but they are behind. And it's even stronger than that. It's not only the Haredi people, let's face it, it's all of us. We all can feel this homesickness for something, especially for a sense of belonging. And the writers of Shtisel have such a special way to describe things to us. I once heard in a podcast nice definition for creativity, that creativity is an expectation that's fulfilled in a way that you haven't seen before. So this is what they did here. It's the same thing as we expect it to be, but fulfilled in a way that we haven't seen before. You don't feel that you're watching series about Haredi people. You just experience it. It's true that all the characters in the series are Haredi, but I must say it's not a series about them. It just scenes about Akiva, for example, this scene about Akiva and his mother, it's just them without trying to judge them or to say anything about them. So they say in heaven there are two arrows pointing two directions. One is heaven and the other one is lecture of heaven. Which one would you choose? So we choose the heaven, not the description and to try and explain things. But still, we did do, most of us, as I said before, we are secular, the producing team and the director, all the crew, the actors, most of us, we were secular when we did this show. And it was very interesting to go into this world and to explore it. And we just understood how much we don't understand, and we thought we knew things, but as much as we get into it, we understood we didn't really knew. And maybe I will share with you a little bit of how was it for us. No, sorry. No. So we went out and we tried to understand how they live, because we were supposed to imitate it and build apartments for our sets exactly as they are, and we try to be very faithful for the authenticity. And so we put a lot of effort to understand exactly how it looked like. So it was interesting. So here is the crew. We got into the apartments, and we discovered that most of the apartments are look-alike, not like our apartments, and they have the same furniture. It was even very hard for us to make an apartment for one character that would look very different from one family from the other family's house. And they all, in the living room, they all have a table, a dining table with a big library of books. The things are very, very simple and functional, mostly without any aesthetic items. And very simple. They all have this pattern on the wall, and they are very proud of these things they put on the. Well, I'll explain later. And these are two sinks. They have one for milk and one for meat, and you can't really say anything about the difference, about whether they have a little bit more money or less money, about how many children, how big the family is. Mostly they are very big, but they have small rooms, and you cannot really tell exactly how many people are inside the house. And it's very, very simple. So another thing that I would say is the impact that the series made on the Haredi society. It was, I'll show you a short scene that at the time when it was the beginning of the broadcasting in Israel, we didn't really understand or believe that Haredi people would look or watch this series. And in the very first broadcast it was episode 8, and here is a short scene that Shulem is dreaming about his mom, and I'll show you the scene, and later I'll show you what happened with it in reality.
שאת רקדת בחתונה שלנו, בובי?
רקדתי, נכון. אמנם אצל לוחם רקדתי עם הבייזם, כל העסק, אבל גם אצלכם רקדתי קצת, כן.
קשה להאמין איך שהזמן בורח.
Die Teeklitschen sich hinter der Schafe gehen verloren.
בדיוק כך.
Was ist das nicht, Mami? Der Mann mir.
Ich hab's doch nicht. Das ist der Minsker Nigen.
Danke. Der Minsker Nigen. Von wo ist der Nigen, Mami?
Der Nigen hat vertracht Reb Chaim Mordche Shtisel, dein Seide.
Richtig, versteht er.
Noch auf dem Weg für Minsk in Eretz Yisroel hat er schon herausgegeben dem Nigen, dem Minsker Nigen.
So this is the scene, and 3 days after it was aired, we got a video. Somebody sent us a video from a wedding that was in Bnei Brak. It's a Haredi city in Israel, and it was a wedding, and I must tell you about this music that because of rights, we invented it. There's no Nigan Minsk, there's no music like this. We just invented it, and then we got this video from the wedding. Look. Yeah, so thank you. As I said before, we didn't have any intention not to say anything very good about the society or to say anything bad, but this is an explanation, a little explanation about this feeling of us that we felt like we wrote a love letter and we got a love letter back because we got this great feedback. So this is our experience with the Haredi Society. Thank you for your listening, and I wish you a very good visit in Israel